Welcome back, everyone. We're going in depth tonight on these air quality alerts that we are monitoring right now in our area. We are watching in real time the air deteriorate in our community. And this is really important information because many people may be sensitive to what's in the air right now.
First Alert meteorologist Justin Godnick now joining us. You've been explaining, Justin, that the setup in the atmosphere is also a perfect storm to bring the wildfire smoke from the Great Lakes and Canada to our area.
So what's different this time around, this is a lot closer to our area. So the smoke is lower in the sky. It's easier for it to reach ground level, and you're going to start to smell it as we go into your Thursday. So let's break it down for you here. You can see the active wildfires are in southern Ontario. It's not that far away. It's basically where the Great Lakes are, and that's where the smoke is channeling in from. Closer than previous fires, which were in British Columbia, maybe parts of California, and that allowed the smoke to get higher in the air, go up and over us, and give us a milky appearance to our sky, but not this orange tinge. When you get the orange, a lot of it can make it down, and a real issue here is going to be the AQI. The AQI is the air quality index. When this gets above 100, it's dangerous for sensitive groups. When it gets to 200, which it comes awful close to on Thursday and Friday, everybody is susceptible to breathing issues, which gets pretty scary. So we're very, very concerned about that AQI number. We're going to talk about that a lot throughout the overnight going into Thursday and Friday. That is the latest on these wildfires. Back over to Lena and Fred.
All right, we appreciate that breakdown. We know it's affecting how we're experiencing your forecast. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But for more context on the impacts to our health, joining us now is Dr. Jane Clougherty from Drexel University. Dr. Clougherty is an exposure scientist and an epidemiologist.
Thank you so much for joining us. We should say you just happen to be near the epicenter of this wildfire outbreak in Toronto, happened to be there for a conference. So can you describe what you're seeing and smelling where you are?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on. It really is ironic that I'm in Toronto this week presenting on air quality and health issues as we're experiencing these massive wildfires. There's, at last count I heard today, 148 wildfires burning in Ontario. And we've been seeing fine particulate levels upwards of around 177 micrograms per meter cubed today in Toronto. Really hazy skies, orange haze throughout much of the day, and now it's turning gray, as you can probably see behind me.
Yeah, I read by one measure that Toronto's air is the worst in the world right now. Of course, we're now beginning to see that wildfire smoke arrive in Philadelphia. So talk about your expertise here. Is this happening more frequently, and what impact does it have on our health?
Sure. I mean, it certainly is. I don't think many of us can remember having wildfire smoke episodes in the northeastern U.S. before a couple of years ago. And certainly the extent of fires that we're seeing today and the timing in the season is very different than we've seen in the past. Seeing fires happening in the spring and earlier part of the summer, certainly fires of this scale, is unusual. It was extremely hot in Ontario yesterday, 99 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very unusual up here. And it contributed to drying out the forest floor and really spiking these fires at this time. They absolutely are becoming more frequent and more intense.
And adding insult to injury around here, we saw that huge fire today at the EMR recycling facility in Darby Township. Officials here warned of air quality concerns there. Are people in that community safe? I mean, we don't know at this point exactly what was burning.
Right, and exactly, that's the concern. These are very different chemical mixes. A forest is one problematic type of burn, and there are a lot of important organic chemicals that we're concerned about from forest fires, wildfires. But a chemical burn from the type of plant that we're watching at EMR, you really have to think about the complexity of what is being burned. There can be a lot of plastics, a lot of previously painted materials, scrap metals. There's a lot of different things coming out of this fire. So it's not just fine particles. We're talking about particles as well as a lot of gaseous species, volatile organic compounds, which include the BTEC species, which include known carcinogens, as well as PAHs, or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. So there's really a very unknown and very complex both gaseous and chemical mix coming out of the EMR fire. Combining that on top of the wildfire smoke, which is heading your way tomorrow, certainly is a concern.
Wow.
Really quickly, Dr. Clougherty, I think of people who may be sensitive to the air being like this. Members of my family have asthma. What should you do?
Sure. So absolutely. In standard guidance in the US is anytime we have an air quality episode of concern, really it's usually persons with pre-existing respiratory or cardiovascular conditions, older adults, and children that we're concerned about. But it's been really nice to hear the guidance up here in Canada is this air isn't healthy for anybody. And the Canadian guidance, which I support, is simply that nobody should be breathing carcinogens. So it's a good idea for all of us to limit our time outdoors, wear an N95 mask when you do need to go outside, and reduce exercise outside, because when you're exercising, I exercise a lot outdoors, but you're increasing your ventilation rate and taking in more of those pollutants.
All very insightful to keep in mind. Dr. Jane Clougherty from Drexel University, thank you for your time. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Yeah.